All right.
You ready?
Yeah.
Yeah. Dudes to Dads is a podcast to help men understand and navigate the transition of being a single dude into a family man. How do we make sense of it all? Well, we probably won't be able to, but let's go ahead and have some fun trying. And we're back.
How's it going today?
I'm doing good.
Yeah.
I'm Jason Kreidman.
I'm Alan Bush.
And this is Dudes to Dads.
That's right.
The podcast for every dad out there. I mean, every dad can really benefit from it.
I absolutely agree.
And we are seeing people from around the world now listening to us.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I went to the statistics today.
Cool.
No joke. People from Japan, Cambodia, Norway, South Africa. I mean, it's crazy. Yeah.
That's awesome.
No, it is really cool that we're actually hitting people worldwide.
Yeah,
it's like,
that's really exciting to see that kind of stuff.
I was waiting for some sort of like P. Diddy thing about blowing up or like being, I don't know. But yeah, no, it's pretty cool to kind of to expand on, the audience that we're doing. It's not just California.
It's not just San Diego people.
It's not just my friends.
Exactly.
Which, that's cool too.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's really nice.
It's a lot nicer to be able to reach other people besides people you know.
Absolutely.
Outside your filter.
And once again, we always welcome feedback, comments, suggestions. Email us, podcast@dudestodads.com.
That's right.
And also at Dudes to Dads on Twitter, Dudes to Dads.com on Facebook.
Right.
And everywhere else, there's a dudestodads.com. So we have a great agenda for today.
Okay.
I'm going to do a little bit of a rundown.
All right.
First, we're going to start with the battlefield.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about something that just kids absolutely love.
On the battlefield.
Yes.
Okay.
But parents don't like it.
Oh, okay. So there's a little war going on there.
Hence the battlefield. We do have a mailbag.
Cool.
And I think you're going to read that one. So
right.
We'll make sure that you can read it.
Yeah.
And then we have Supercharged, and this is something for mealtime.
Oh, okay.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
And we then will have a dad's debate. This was an article that I saw in the New York Times. Very, very timely. There's a lot of activity going on with this subject, so I thought it'd be a good debate topic.
Okay.
And then we have not one quote of the day, but two quotes of the day.
All right.
From my favorite Some E-cards. The funny things they're always just humorous, and so there's nothing really serious about them today. They're just funny.
They're actually a competitor of a client.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So funny.
Well, all right, then maybe...
No, they're great. I mean, they're wonderful. That's why they're a competitor. It's like, they're doing so well,
Yeah. The other thing, too, I wanted to mention that we are here in Southern California, but both Alan and myself do consulting.
That's right.
For various elements. Alan can do consulting as a podcast assistant or a technician or producer, however you want to do it. So you can contact us for that, podcast@dudestodads.com. And then as well for myself, now started doing speaking engagements. I'm also doing some other things related to being a dad and the transition for fatherhood. So if you have a company or an organization and interested in bringing on a speaker, I'd love to come and check it out.
That's actually pretty exciting that you're doing speaking engagements now.
Yeah, it's cool. People have been contacting us now, so it's fun. It's something that I obviously enjoy talking, so that's not a problem. But yeah, we have fun. I've got some interesting things that I don't necessarily talk about here, that we can talk about privately in a person-to-person manner. So,
right.
So yeah, give us a shout. Podcast@dudestodads.com. We'd love to hear from you. So Let's get started with the battlefield. The battlefield topic for today is sugar.
Sugar,
baby. So whether this is this is a battle because kids love sugar. I mean, adults love sugar a lot too.
Yeah.
So whether it's candy, treats, desserts, etc., I wanted to talk just a little bit about the battlefield that is dessert time. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, now I see what you're getting at here.
So this totally depends on your family.
Sure.
I mean, every family's different, have different diets. One of the things I've mentioned this before is, we eat fairly healthy. We keep a fairly healthy home. We eat meals at home. So, at the same time, you can't, at least this is the philosophy both my wife and I share, is, we don't want to completely deprive our children of sweets in the sense.
It's kind of like that whole prohibition alcohol thing. Like if you just deprive them of it, then they're going to want it more. And then when they do get it, they're going to get hit hard with it.
We try not to keep too much in the house because I don't want them to deprive them of like they go to a party and they go out. I mean, I want them to feel like they're able to do that. And do that. What we have done, and this is a philosophy that I forgot how it came about, but we have used the philosophy of good food before bad.
Okay. Yep.
That's the slogan. So it's not that you can't have bad food or bad things for you.
Yeah. And
they're kind of learning at 5 and 7. It's like, it's a lot of sugar. It was funny. One of my son turned over and said, "Hey, this has high fructose corn syrup in it." And I was like, "That a boy." He's like, "I'm not going to eat it." But it also just to know that they can have it. It's fine, but you do have to eat good food before bed.
Sure,
and that's kind of something that we've done. So in our house, one of the things, because the way that the battle came up was every night we would eat and they'd go, "Okay, what's for dessert?" I was like, "Well, we're not having dessert," and then they would get upset and do that. So we established this I don't know what you would call it, but the idea that weekends are open for dessert.
Okay.
So on Friday and or Saturday nights, that's when dessert happens, if it does.
Yeah.
So, I mean, special occasions are different. I mean, you go somewhere or whatever.
Right.
Now, dessert can often be healthy, because I did talk about the Yonana.
Yonana,
which is a great, and the kids are fine with that. That's a healthy dessert.
Sure.
But and we have swayed where it's like during the week, maybe there is something. But, traditionally, I didn't grow up having dessert with my meal.
Right.
Some families have appetizer, whether it's a salad, they have the main course, and then you have dessert. It's just part of the process. We have ice cream after dinner, we've got cookies, whatever it is. Yeah. That's part of the family meal. I didn't really have that growing up. My wife, on the other hand, would have ice cream for dinner. She prides herself on that. That's kind of sometimes what they had, and that's fine.
Yeah.
So that balance, but now eating healthier, both of us, it's kind of like, okay, well, how much can we be, how much leeway can we provide,
right,
with still feeling like they're getting, good food. So for us, that battle has subsided quite a bit because the kids know that they still get it.
Yeah.
They just know now when.
Right.
So it's not like, well, no, tonight we're not going to have it.
Yeah.
I mean, because that's what it was. It was like we'd have dinner and then they go, tonight we're not going to do it. And then they go, what do you mean? So it's kind of like everything else that we're trying to do of putting them on a schedule. Yeah, I know. Isn't that funny?
The regimented.
The military house.
You will give me 20 push-ups and some ice cream, sir.
Yeah. So now they know, like, okay, I'm going to have the good food before bed. And, and I've even seen, it's funny, my kids we were at like a birthday party or something. And my daughter looks over at me with like a piece of broccoli in her hand. And she's like, "See, Dad, I'm eating the good stuff." I was like, yeah, because I knew she wanted to have ice cream or something, So, which is fine.
She dipped it in the ice cream.
No, well, I wouldn't say that's not possible. So it's just maybe thinking about, some sort of regimen or some sort of like consistency of when that may happen. Now, for some families, if you're okay with it, then you have dessert every day. Just for us, that's not. I didn't want it. It was a battle, because we didn't always have it, and whatever. And so I just thought that was something that made sense, at least for our family.
Yeah, Mike. You know what's funny? My grandparents. I was raised partially by my grandparents when I was like in between certain ages. I was like between 6 and 12, and my grandmother had a really good diplomatic way of dealing with that type of stuff. And so if I asked for something like a snack, and it was like a sweet thing, she'd go, "Why don't you have a piece of fruit now?" And then maybe later, after dinner, you can have this. And I go, oh, okay, I just bargained with Grandma. And she'd always have fruit in the house and very little of the
Which
dessert
craves some of the sugar.
Yeah, it does. It subsides all that. And then also she would make certain types of desserts. So it wouldn't be like there would just be cookies lying around. It'd be like she'd make a parfait for me and my grandfather. And my grandfather shouldn't be eating all those sweets either. And she's diabetic. So basically I got it. And then me and my grandpa would be like, ready for the dessert? But we would get that like once every other week or something.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there was dessert, sometimes maybe some ice cream or something.
But it wasn't a huge part.
Wasn't a huge part. And for the most part, if I wanted, I might get graham crackers.
So is dessert part of your diet now?
No.
Yeah.
It isn't. I honestly don't care.
Or your girlfriend's?
No, I don't. Honestly, every once in a while, I do like ice cream, to be honest with you. But for the most part, I don't.
You don't really keep it. It's not part of your. Yeah,
I don't incorporate dessert in my meals every single time.
Got it.
Like if I'm at a restaurant.
Now beer, totally different.
Beer is my dessert.
That's what I always say. It's like no, that's fine. I had a beer. I'm good.
Exactly. I replace sugar with alcohol.
I'll have that for dessert. So. Anyway, so that's the battlefield. So that's cool. Let's move on to the mailbag.
Mail. We got mail.
So, Alan, I think you have, this is from a guy named Grant.
Yeah.
Had emailed us.
Grant.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it's a cool name. Grant writes, my wife and I had our first child 4 months ago. Intimacy is pretty much gone. What can I do?
Oh, jeez. Wow, that's pretty
straightforward.
That's pretty straightforward.
And I'm wondering if it's his intimacy or hers, or I'm assuming hers.
Well, here's the thing is, I was just going to say, I'm going to try to answer this without a lot of information. I wish we had Grant on the phone.
Stuff happened. What should I do?
Yeah. So here's the thing. Intimacy is pretty much gone after they're in the child's 4 months. Well, so he obviously has expectations. Here's the thing is 4 months in is very chaotic. I would say that this is a common thing that I've heard in the meetups and everything else, where there's a couple reasons for him feeling like the intimacy is probably gone.
Time, I can imagine.
Well,
just being tired.
Tired.
Yeah.
Time. The wife or significant other is just pretty hyper focused. Mm-hmm. And could be all those things, tired,
Yeah.
Her focus is really not so much, hey, what can I do for him?
Right.
Especially if she's like nursing and everything else. It's not,
Let me care for something that just came out of my womb and please you at the same time.
My guess is, that's not necessarily an easy situation.
Right.
I know the other thing too is you have to make time for each other, which we've talked about in the past about going on a date.
Yeah.
And this is about the time where it's absolutely, it's crucial before that, but like when you get to the 3 or 4 month mark, the child, you start to feel a little bit better about leaving the child with someone. Because you're getting that comfort. Infant. Right. It's not a brand newborn.
Right. Fresh out of the package.
Right. So you start to feel a little bit more comfortable. So that date night is going, because the first thing about intimacy for women is that they need to connect outside the bedroom.
Right.
In order to connect in the bedroom. I'm generalizing here. I'm just saying in general.
Yeah,
Men are the opposite. Right. Men, in order to feel that closeness, need to feel the closeness in the bedroom, and then they'll feel the closeness outside the bedroom.
Right.
It's a total opposite. That's light her fire stuff.
Yeah.
That's,
yeah.
That's really important. So for Grant, I wouldn't focus so much on, because I'm assuming he's meaning sex, physical intimacy.
Sure.
I would focus on the mental intimacy part of it, because he's really going to have to be the one to do something here. And that's going to be to stop kind of thinking about what, you can get from it.
Yeah.
And instead probably just be more supportive, make a situation where you can allow her to get out of the house if this is their situation. Mm-hmm. I'm guessing based on that, it's sort of a tradition, in a more traditional sense, where the wife is at home with the baby all day. He's not getting much attention. This is very common.
Sure.
This is just a very, very common thing.
And I guess you want to be sensitive to the wife's feelings, but simultaneously let her know, hey, miss our time together.
Yeah.
Why don't we?
So you got to be careful too of just not saying, hey, why aren't we having sex?
I know, I want some.
Yeah. That's not going to go over well. So being supportive, find out what her love language is if you don't know it already, and be there for her.
I like that love language.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's a good one. It's understanding what it is that she needs in order to feel that way. And it may not happen right away, but the hope is that eventually it kicks in. So good luck with that one, Grant.
Yeah, exactly. Jeez.
Yeah, that's not an easy one.
No, it isn't. I can't even imagine. I mean, it's bad enough when people have their own personal issues and they bring it to the table, let alone when there's a baby taking up your time and energy and
you're not getting as much sleep or whatever.
That's just got to be
well, the guy often feels left out, and guys will talk to me about that, like where they often feel they're not a focus. They're not getting the attention that they had gotten before, and then substituting by this baby who's now getting all the attention. Sure. So it's a hard place to be, and you've got to sort of understand the situation and put yourself in the other person's situation.
Right.
So, so maybe do that, Grant, and let us know how it goes. And
not so many details like you've done.
Yeah. No. Well, I'm glad he,
left out details.
Left out details. But I think this is an important topic. It's pretty interesting. That's why I chose this question, from a couple of different ones, because I think it totally, resonates. It's when you have a brand new baby, it's tough.
Yeah.
The intimacy part is definitely affected.
Right.
Not for everybody, but a lot.
For a lot of people, generally speaking.
Right. Yeah. So that's our mailbag.
Cool.
Let's move on to Supercharge. So for Supercharge, I got a very cool mealtime. I'll call it a gadget.
Oh, okay.
This is a dinner tray. And it's funny because
not new.
I was looking for something to help finicky eaters. And it's interesting because my daughter was never picky with eating, and all of a sudden hates everything. And I think this could be a phase. It's just like.
Do you think their palate changes at some point?
It might, but our tolerance changes. I mean, we've talked about where it's like, no, I don't like that. Okay, well, that's what's for dinner. We've gone over that many times.
Sure.
So I came across this dinner tray, and it's called the Fred and Friends Dinner Winner Kids Dinner Tray. Okay. Not a search engine optimized title.
No, it isn't.
But it's very interesting. So it's a tray, and it divides the food into 8 portions, essentially.
Okay. And
has little things on the tray that says like, all right, first step. Okay, you're getting closer. Wow, good bite. Whatever it is. And like each one allows them to uncover when they eat the food.
Okay.
To then get to the goal, which is dessert, which is covered.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, it's funny because, one thing is I don't necessarily agree with the reward of being dessert, but that's a common thing. Yeah. I mean, you eat all the other food so you can have the one that's bad, but, but basically, though, it's a very, very cool. I think my daughter might be a little too old for it. I think it's more in the, like, when you first start eating.
Well, maybe there's like a bracelet or something inside.
Yeah, I mean, you could do something like that, but it's really cool because it's like this little track on the tray.
Yeah.
We'll put a link to it. It's on Amazon.
That's
it's like,
funny.
it's pretty cheap. It's like $11, $12 or something.
Yeah.
But, we'll put a link on this episode's page. But it's cool. I thought it was just a really good way, to get them to eat. Because there's all kinds of things like, forks shaped like airplanes and, all kinds of like little gadgetry and stuff like that. And I just thought that this was a really interesting way to put the meal together, in that saying, hey, you're eating one, now where's the next one? Where's the next one? Because we've had some issues like that with just even the speed.
Oh,
I mean, the child gets distracted, and it's like, 45 minutes later, it's like, come on.
Right, just put that in your mouth and eat it.
I'm glad that you're chewing really, really slow, because that's good for digestion.
Very thorough.
But, what did I once...
Give your stomach some practice.
I once learned, you're supposed to chew each piece of food 20 times, whatever. I need to practice that.
Yeah.
Like
3 at most.
I have not lost a speed eating competition. Not quantity, but speed.
Sure.
So anybody out there wants to challenge?
Yeah, right.
Bring it on. But for Supercharged, this was great. It's a mealtime sort of gadget or thing to kind of, help you with maybe a finicky eater or somebody who's a little slow eating or whatever. So
I always thought I thought this was going to go this direction, but my grandma, again, rest in soul, she used to say, just have a little bit of no thank you helping.
Yeah, totally.
She got me to eat it because she just have a little bit. And then I eat a little bit.
Oh, the no thank you bite was all that we did that all.
Yeah. So it's like, I want to see that as part of if those 8 sections and this is like the no
one says no thank you.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Hey, write that down.
Yeah, we got a patent pending.
We will call it the Jason and Alan and Friends dinner winner kids dinner tray.
We'll optimize that title better.
They won't get upset if if you just change a word. It's different.
It's not Fred.
Right. No, it's awesome. Great. Whoever created that is just
that's cool.
It's cool. I'm guessing it's Fred and Friends, but I don't know.
Be. Yeah.
All right. So let's move on to a dad's debate. Dad's debate today is about the specific labels on toys for genders.
Okay.
This had come up before. I think we had just talked about this briefly. And there was a recent New York Times article, and it was talking about, that retailers are moving away from gender-specific categorization of their toys. In other words, there's not a girls aisle, and there's not a boys aisle. It's a toy aisle.
Okay.
As well as things aren't necessarily all in pink for girls,
right,
and things aren't blue, for boys.
Or army camouflage.
Whatever. Yeah. And so there's a couple things. And the reason this is a debate is I wanted to get your perspective on, is this lame? Is it cool? Does it make sense? Does it just not even matter? That could certainly be.
Yeah.
But I thought it was interesting because it's actually having both a boy and a girl.
Yeah.
I have perspective on it. So as an example, Target recently announced, that there'll be no labels that say boys, like this is a boy's this and this is a girl's this. Okay. So it's actually not, specifying.
On clothing?
I think it was on toys. I'm not sure yet on clothing.
Okay.
I believe it was on the toys. But there are clothing that is now doing that.
Yeah.
And one of the comments was like, if a guy wants to wear a woman's scarf, let him wear a woman's scarf, or what's traditionally a woman's scarf. If you like the clothes, that it's not necessarily meaning man or woman thing.
Right.
Now, Amazon, which we all love, no longer uses categories for toys that are boys and girls. And I didn't realize that either. They use ages.
Yeah.
I think it's ages 5 to 8.
Yeah, like board games do that.
Yeah.
Generally, board games are for everybody, so they say, okay, ages 5.
But now it's everything. So even if it's a doll,
right,
it doesn't matter.
But I think I could be wrong. It's a while since I bought a doll or a G.I. Joe figure, but like what do they ever say for boys?
Yeah, sure.
Does G.I. Joe say for boys?
Well, no, but we're talking about categorization.
No, so I'm saying
if you're on a website and it says 6. Okay, for like Amazon, and it says, okay, you're under the 5 to 10-year-old section. Now, are you shopping for a boy or are you shopping for a girl?
Right. Okay.
And then you're making that suggestion of seeing what the
I'm thinking about going to traditional brick and mortar stores.
So like a Toys R Us, you walk down the aisle. They don't necessarily, I don't know, but that's what Target is saying. They're not labeling like even the aisles or whatever else. But if you go into a Target now, there's definitely pink aisles where there's all the princess stuff. And then that's just the fact that, princess stuff happens to be pink. Mm-hmm. And, it's mixed. And then on the other side might be, all green and blue stuff, which is army and whatever else. It's pretty specific, the colors and the things of what they're trying to attract for a gender.
Yeah.
So the whole point of this, though, is does that make sense? Is that a positive thing?
Right.
And then the other thing was like athletic wear is starting to blur the lines too, where like, a shirt is a shirt. Mm-hmm. Now, that is a little bit strange to me because bodies are different.
That's where I get into that.
And also, I will say, certain things enhance body parts for different genders.
Yeah, with clothing, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, like a guy's shoulders, maybe accent versus a woman's, chest or something.
Yeah.
Where, but I think that...
Well, that's men and women, not boys and girls.
True.
So body shapes
but I think they're even talking about that also.
Oh, they're trying to do that with men and women.
I think so.
Gotcha.
It's the idea that it's just, this is the clothing. Now, I think that with athletic wear or even clothing and stuff, there's certainly things that are going to be more geared towards men and women. But it's the idea, I guess, when you're younger, too, of... And one of the comments, which I think this is great. So there was the story. One of them was a 3-year-old. This man has a 3-year-old, and the 3-year-old wants to dress up as Elsa from Frozen. Who's a girl.
Right.
And he's like, why would people make fun of that? Or, which I can see that some people might, but who cares?
Yeah.
Like, if my son wants to dress up in that, I don't care.
Right.
Like, it doesn't bother me. It's just, they like the character.
Yeah.
They're not thinking of it as a boy or a girl or whatever. They're like, and that's kind of cool at that age to not think of that. Now, I don't know what the ramifications are of that or whatever, but definitely as we were growing up, there's very big distinctions between what was boys' toys and what was girls' toys.
Sure.
And so they're talking about how that has become a little bit more blurred, where, they have a construction set. Now, do they have to have a pink construction set so that it's designated as a girl?
For girls.
Yeah. That doesn't now, but girls, are they conditioned to like pink more?
Right.
And it's funny, I once saw...
Is that a biological thing?
Yeah, I once saw a lecture. It was like the pinkification of America.
Right.
I loved it because it was talking about how horrible it is that, things are becoming pink and everything else.
Yeah.
And like a woman has to identify with the external stuff. And it was really good about teaching young women and young girls how... the external stuff doesn't matter. Like the thing I saw with my daughter, how I said, like, does this dress look great on me?
Oh, right.
And she's like, I know I look good on the inside, or I'm good on the inside, but does this dress cool?
Yeah.
And that's just something in this aspect is I think they're trying to just remove some of that, which I find interesting.
I find it interesting, and I don't know where my take is on it because honestly, I feel like I'm a fairly liberal person and open-minded in a lot of ways, but I also have this thing about overdoing it. It's like removing gender labels is like, well, you are that gender though, and how do you identify? I'm not saying that you need to have a pink construction set. I think that's silly. I think girls can play with Army boys and boys can play with dolls. That's fine, but to say like I don't know
But that's part of it is the categorization.
And I guess that's where I'm going, okay, that's fine, that's cool. But then they get into a little too far with the clothing and stuff. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, celebrate the differences. Like, I'm not saying you have to wear pink all the time, but the shirts might be, like you said, they might be geared towards certain body types. And unfortunately, we all grow up differently. We have different sizes, and boys grow up faster and muscular faster, but sometimes girls grow up faster,
right?
And they get more mature faster, and that means other things.
But you said, as an example, like you don't care if the child, let's say a boy, is playing with a doll,
right?
And let's say it's a princess doll. I don't know, whatever. But if that princess doll is categorized as a girl item, and it's in the girl section, and it's pink. Is there an effect on the child as a result of that, thinking, oh, wow, I'm playing with something that is traditionally a girl's.
Yes.
I'm different because I'm supposed to be playing with boy stuff.
And yes.
And I think, but what they're saying is that by removing that,
right,
it doesn't matter then if the boy wants to play with the doll, because the doll is not considered a girl item.
Right.
It's considered a child item.
A child item. It's a toy.
And I think that's the purpose of it. It's like that it doesn't matter whether it's the doll or the construction set or whatever, what is traditionally boy-girl roles. It's like, these are just toys. We don't care who plays with them.
I think the adults are the ones reinforcing that.
Well, of course.
Idea. I think the kids don't care. Because the thing is, granted, when they get older, they get a little more
Well, but I can tell you, like, my daughter prefers pink.
Yeah.
Now, there was things influencing that maybe from a young age. They come out of the womb and all of a sudden, it's a girl and everyone's buying pink stuff for her.
Right, for one.
That's...
Then anything out there in the media or people around you, there's the potential to run into that.
Girls are the pink and purple and the yellow or whatever.
The artist pink.
Yeah. Versus the boys are the blues and the greens and the brown. That's just something that happens. It's like, oh, hey, what color are we going to go for the room?
Right.
When we paint the room for the child. Well, what gender are they?
Right.
That's like, really? Does that matter?
Who cares?
Right. But that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, and I get that. I just don't want it to go so far out of there. Well, there's no such thing as gender. Come on.
Well, but that's happening in the media too.
No, I get that too, but I think that's ridiculous.
Right.
And see, the thing is, that's why when the lines get too pulled, they go too far with it. And it's like, instead of like celebrating differences, no, everyone's equal. No one has any color lines and no one has any gender lines. What are you talking about?
Right.
Of course they do, but be cool with it. We understand that. Hey, I understand that you're a little different and I'm different. We're both different and let's hang out.
Right.
I like that difference.
Well, you also, you have a minority yourself, or you are a minority yourself.
Yeah, I'm blended with 3 different people.
And I've grown up, I was in I had a different religion than everybody around me and stuff. I mean, so I think you have a different perspective when you are not the majority.
Sure.
I at least that's how I always viewed it. I always felt like maybe a little bit more compassion or something for people who were different, because I felt different.
Sure.
Even though I may not outwardly look it.
Right.
I wasn't celebrating the same thing as everybody else, or I was doing that. So that was something that, it's just interesting. It's a broader topic, but bringing that into play, you have a little bit more perspective, I think, of just just celebrate the differences. That's cool.
Yeah. And as a kid, you want to fit in.
Right.
And then as I got older, I realized that difference actually shaped me, quote unquote, as a better person, I would hope.
Right.
Because I was able to kind of...
Oh, I like you.
Yeah. Thanks. I appreciate that.
It seems to work out okay.
Yes, exactly.
So, well, cool. We'll close out the Dad's Debate.
Cool.
And we're going to finalize everything here with actually 2 quotes of the day.
Okay.
From some e-cards.
Yeah.
And so let's do that.
Cool.
The first one is... this is what a parent saying this to a child. You're making it difficult for me to be the parent I always imagined I would be. I like that.
That's good.
And then the second one is when my kids grow up, I'm going to their house to break their stuff, eat all their food, make a huge mess, say I'm bored, and then just leave.
I know some people can probably relate to that.
Totally. Absolutely. So that's another episode of Dudes to Dads. What we would appreciate is going to either Stitcher or iTunes, giving us a 5-star review, telling your friends about us.
Yeah.
Maybe
pass the word along.
Facebook, Twitter, share it. Share the episodes that we have.
Sure.
Follow us, like us. We'd always appreciate that.
Yeah.
Any other final...
No, email us at podcast@dudesadads.com.
That's right.
Or go to any social media channel for the most part and check us out.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
And with that, we will see ya.
See ya.